Hi, everyone. Kevin with Flux here. Thank you for joining me today in our overview on our new Excel add-in. We'll be going over setting up and creating templates using the new Excel add-in for Flux. If you should have any questions at any time during the webinar, please type it in the question section. We'll be dedicating the last few minutes or so for questions and answers, so we'll be saving all of your questions for then. If we do not get to your question in time, we'll curate those and try to answer them offline. So let's get started here. In this Excel add-in webinar, we'll be answering the following questions. How do I get started with the Excel add-in? How do I add fields? How do I add aggregations to my fields? How do I add conditions to my fields? And how do I include formatted formula in my template? How do I add link tabs and data from other model types? And as I said earlier, there will be a Q&A after the overview. Okay, so getting started. So the first step in using the Excel add-in is enabling the integration on your site. To do so, you'll want to click into the admin panel, then go into global settings, and then scroll to the general settings, and then scroll all the way to the bottom of the attribute panels. And then you're going to click on the checkbox labeled Enable Beta Excel Reports. So you can see here. And of course, make sure you click Save before exiting the panel to save the changes that you have made. Okay, after you do so, you then go back to the dashboard. So after you've enabled the Excel add-in in the admin panel, the option to open an Excel add-in card should now be in your Add Card menu. So you would click on the plus sign at the bottom right of the dashboard to open the Add Cards menu. And then under the Reports heading, you should see a link for Excel Report. Click this link to open a card with existing records, or simply click the plus button just to open one new record. In this example, we're opening one new record. As with other reporting tools in Flux, when you create a new report record, you will be prompted to choose a model type on which you would like to create your template. Choose the model that most of your fields will be coming from. You can choose to include fields from other model types when creating the template, so just choose the primary model type for now. In this example, we're going to be using the grant request model type to build our template. Once you have a new Excel report record open on your dashboard, you can name and add a description by filling in the boxes at the top of the card. Then you would scroll down to the next section of the card and click the Flux add-in link in step 2 of the template tab. Please make sure that you do not have this add-in already installed on the machine you're using, as this may cause problems when you try to edit your template. Now, once the add-in downloads to your computer, open the package and complete the installation. After you complete the installation steps, you should now be ready to download a template and begin working. A new template can be downloaded from the same section of the record as you downloaded the plugin. In step 3, under the template tab, click on the link called Base Template. Once the template downloads, click on the file and that should be able to open it. Once your template file opens, you'll notice a Flux tab in the ribbon of the file. click on this tab. And once you arrive at the Flux tab, you're going to want to click on the Login button in the ribbon. Fill in the pop-up with login credentials from your site. Now, this is going to include the site URL, your username, and your password. Once you filled all that out, click Login, and you should be able to go. So now we're going to talk about the fields. Almost all of the fields available on your dashboard will be listed in the Field Explorer section of the Excel template. Each field name is listed with the field type icon next to it. Once you're ready to add fields to your template, select the coordinates in which your first field will be placed. You can do so by changing the values present in the boxes labeled row and column in the Flux tab of the ribbon. In this example, the first row of data is 2 down, and the first column is 3 from the left. To add the field, you can either double-click, drag and drop from the Explorer, or highlight the field and then click Insert. Now, if you'd like to change the name of the label of the field in the template, you can do so by clicking into the header label fields of the Elements section. Keep in mind that changing the name of the field will only rename the field in this report specifically. The backend name of the field, as well as any labels added to forms in the dashboard, will remain the same. Also notice that the backend name of the field is listed under the header label under backend name. Okay, moving on to aggregations. A unique feature to the Excel add-in is aggregations. Aggregations allow you to apply mathematical functions to groups of related data. Aggregations are a new feature of the Excel add-in and can be used instead of one-to-many. Instead of looking at records parsed out individually on each line, you could look at them as a summation. I'm going to show you a brief demo of this. In this example, the user is looking at the total amount due for each grant in their site by summing the amount due field using aggregations. Okay, moving on to conditions. It is also possible to add conditions to aggregated columns of data in your template. This allows you to filter an aggregated column of data on another variable or field within your build. So say you want to look at the amount paid by grant for a certain period of time, last quarter, for example. You would start by switching to aggregations since we want to look at the sum of payments on a grant. Then we would add the field amount paid from the request transaction model type to the spreadsheet. After choosing the aggregation type, we would then apply the condition by hitting the Edit Condition link. And once the modal appears, click the green plus sign and then select the field Paid At. Then you're going to select the time range last quarter as the criteria. Click Save. And once you've done that, you could then populate test data to check your selections. Okay, moving on to link tabs, pulling data from other model types. So link tabs allow you to set up templates that are able to display data from more than one model type within the same report. Say, for example, that you want to look at the percentage of total funds that went to each of your programs, but you also want to be able to see the specific details of each payment on another tab. This information can all be contained within the same report. So say we want to look at grant records by ID number, program, and amount paid, but also want on another sheet a way of looking at each payment date individually. We would start with a spreadsheet with the fields base ID and program name. But we also want to look at the field amount paid as a sum for each record, but also as itemized payments on another tab. To do so, we would first switch to aggregation in the Field Explorer, then add the field amount paid from the request transaction model type. After adding the field, we would then need to add another sheet to our workbook. After returning to the original sheet, we're going to click the Create a Link tab from this relationship link, and then choose the sheet you just added. Then you're going to choose the aggregation type for the field on the main sheet. In this example, we're going to use sum as the aggregation type. This will create itemized payments on the new sheet and some payments on the original sheet. The itemized field will populate with data once you re-upload the template. Okay, so that's going to conclude today's webinar, just a brief overview of the Excel add-in, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any features that I did not cover extensively, we will for sure be hosting trainings in the future to address these features. You may also learn about any of these features by visiting our knowledge base. So let's use the last few minutes here to open it up to some questions. Okay, first question, do I need to log in to use the Excel plugin? The answer to that is going to be yes. Much like the word add-in, you're going to need to log in using the modal that we showed you earlier to access those developer tools and be able to access that field list. Next question, here's a good question. Something we probably should have put in the bulk of this webinar, but the question says, I can't get my Excel plugin to work on my computer. Any ideas? One thing to keep in mind that this is only available on PC at this time and is currently not available on Macs. So if you're using a Mac, that might be the reason why the plugin's not working. Okay, so it looks like that was the last question that came in. So we'll go ahead and call it for today. You will be able to find video recordings of past webinars on our knowledge base. Today we went over how do I get started with Excel add-in, how do I add fields, how do I add aggregations to my fields, how do I add conditions to my fields, and how do I include tabs and data from other model types. To learn more and access the video recording of this webinar, please visit our knowledge base at flux.io/knowledge. There you'll be able to find a list of our upcoming webinars, links to register for future webinars, and recordings of past webinars under the training webinars section. Or of course, feel free to ask us at support and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks again for joining us today, and we hope to host you again at our next training. Have a great day.